Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your April 2018 mid-month general readings. Thank you so much for joining us here today, and welcome to any newcomers. Thank you for taking the time to send in all your support, feedback, and comments, and letting me know how the readings resonate for you, and for all your likes, shares, and subscribes. And always a big thank you for all of my clients out there, both regular and new, for keeping me so busy with all the personal readings. The personal one-on-one readings, always an honor and a pleasure. If any of you are interested in any personal one-on-one reading with me, you can get more information and my contact details by either looking at the description bar of all the videos I post or going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on the little About button. I do a wide variety of readings, as a lot of you know, in all areas of life, love and romance, compatibility charting for relationships and reconciliation, career work and finance, channeled messages from loved ones passed on, and I also do 6 and 12-month overviews, which look at what's coming in your life for the next 6 or 12 months, depending on how far out you want to look. So please feel free to email me directly at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you. Turnaround time is usually pretty fast because I do readings full-time 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. So I can usually set up a reading for you live or recorded within a couple of weeks, sometimes within a couple of days, but almost always within a 2-week period of time or so. So send me an email and we'll go from there if you're interested. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo for fast answers to quick, simple questions. And that's also with my contact details. So let's move right into this. This reading is for the fire sign of Aries. Aries, the ram, our restless ones, our babies of the zodiac, Aries. Love those Aries. For the remainder of April 2018, I am recording these between the 11th and the 13th, so we're looking at the last couple of weeks of April 2018 for Aries. Okay, Aries, we begin with the 9 of Swords, followed by the 3 of Wands. We have the Star, lovely, followed by the King of Wands. There you are. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance is the 10 of Wands. Okay, Aries, well, it looks like at least around the middle of the month or the 3rd week or so, you're in a lot of stress and worry and anxiety about something that maybe has to do with the future, or waiting for something to manifest in the future, or waiting to see how something plays out in a little ways down the road. And some of you may be feeling a bit tired and overwhelmed by something. Your overall energy and focus from the bottom of the deck, your crowning card, your overall energy and focus for the next couple of weeks is the 10 of Wands. Now in the tarot, 10s represent cycles ending, culmination, achievement. Wands is fire energy, usually very action-oriented energy. And this speaks of a burden coming to an end, or needing to come to an end because it's grown so heavy. You can see this man is laboring under the weight of these 10 wands, which I always feel maybe started off as 1 or 2, but then over time became a bit of a burden, a lot of burden, because he can't stand up straight. It could be a cross you've had to bear, or something you've been working at for a long, long time, and it's just become so burdensome. He is at the end of his journey. You can see his head is up and he's looking at his destination, that place where he can lay this burden down and stand up and take a deep breath. Sometimes when this card, so it does represent a cycle coming to an end, or a burden coming to an end, or needing to. Sometimes when the 10 of Wands comes up, it can represent feeling really kind of overwhelmed or tired and worn out as well. Because something needs to come to an end, or is coming to an end. So that's overall focus and energy and advice for the next couple of weeks. Now we have the 9 of Swords and the 3 of Swords. The 9 of Swords, I don't like seeing the 9 of Swords in any situation for anyone, because it represents an extreme and unnecessary amount of stress, anxiety, worry, fear, doubt, which is what this woman, as you can see, is doing. She's sitting up late at night. The moon is high in the sky, which implies that, you know, it's probably 3 a.m. Everybody else is sleeping, but not her or him. And she's sitting up in bed with her arms hunched over in this kind of protective, defensive gesture, and she's completely consumed with, again, anxiety, fear, worry, stress over something. What she's missing, even though it's right there, is this little tiny owl on the windowsill, and everything is symbolic in a tarot card. Owls are one of those universal symbols of wisdom, insight, enlightenment, an answer, solution, but she can't see it because she's just completely focused on fear, anxiety, worry, way too much. A lot of this energy is illusionary, meaning that the source of your stress and concern, Aries, may be quite valid, but the Nine of Swords comes up when you're usually, as my oldest daughter would say, future tripping about something that hasn't even happened yet, worrying about, what happens if this happens, and what happens if this doesn't happen, when in fact none of it has. This is a card that comes up when someone has built something up in their head to be much bigger and worse than is actually reflected in the reality of the situation, because Swords is air energy, and in the tarot this is energy of thought, internal, psychological, cerebral energy. It's about what we think about things, our perspectives, our belief systems, how we look at things, and how that affects the way that we see and relate and communicate with the world, with things in the world, with people in the world, because our words and our ideas and our beliefs affect how we interact and communicate. Swords also represents truth, insight, clarity, higher education, learning, everything that goes on up in here. So all of these thoughts are one consuming thought: stress, anxiety, worry, but a lot of it is unnecessary. It's worrying about a future which hasn't happened yet. And there may be an insight or a solution or hope in that, or faith in that, very close by you, but you're only focused on the negativity of the situation. So step back a bit and dump some of that energy. Stop feeding it. Now, what's clarifying the Nine of Swords is the Three of Wands, which is a card about the future. It's about feeling like you've laid the groundwork, the baby steps, the initial work into the foundation for something, and you're waiting to see what the results will be. In the preceding card, the Two of Wands shows a man at a crossroads, and he's trying to figure out which path to take, and the key to taking the right path is in looking down the road at what your ultimate destination is, what's your long-term vision and goal. And then the Three of Wands, the next card, is about doing the initial work, laying the groundwork, the foundations, planting the seeds, these wands, to see what your ship is going to bring in when it comes in. It's a card of kind of patience, gestative, and waiting. Which can be kind of quite difficult to do when you're when you're stressing about what you're waiting for, what may or may not happen. But it's showing that there's too much energy being put into the stress and anxiety and future tripping about this. So cut back on that, Aries. It is unnecessary. And that's underscored by the next combination of cards, which is the Star and the King of Wands. So I feel like the King of Wands is you. It represents a fire sign: Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female. Could also represent another fire sign that may be significant in the relationship, if not you, someone who has a lot of fire in their natal chart. Energetic, action-oriented, someone who's reached the top of their suit, as kings and queens have. They've mastered the energy of the Page and the Knight, and so they're more mature, more involved, more in touch, and more in control of the characteristic traits natural to their suit, which Wands would be fiery, but somebody who's dynamic, energetic, ambitious, a go-getter, not one to rest on his laurels for very long, but not one to just act spontaneously or impulsively based just on pure emotion. Somebody who's kind of reached mastery over that. You being exactly who you are, and crowned by the Star card, which is a major arcana card, one of my favorite. It is a card of hope and faith in where you're at and in the path that you're on and in the future, even if you cannot see how it plays out. It's a card of almost childlike hope and faith, and trusting in God, Spirit, your angels and guides, in divine timing and orchestration, and trusting in that, almost like a child would. You can see that this woman, she's kneeling in this body of water, and she's emptying her pitchers of water out into the water that she's kneeling in. She's completely emptying out her reserves of water in perfect faith and confidence that when she needs her water replenished, it will be, absolutely, because the source that it comes from is limitless. So it's a card of hope and faith and trust, even if you can't see further down than the next step, walking that path anyway, doing your part. And doing our part in a practical way means doing the work, putting one foot in front of the other, doing what's in front of us to do, and trusting that as long as we do that, of course Spirit loves you and wants your joy and fulfillment. And so trusting in that as you wait for this scenario to kind of play out a little further in the future, and not stressing about it. This much stress, anxiety, and worry is a lack of faith. So it's walking in faith, which sometimes means that you just take the steps even if you don't feel it. You continue to take the steps anyway. It will play out. Let me pull one further card to see what the most likely outcome of this is, if indeed you keep walking in faith and stop feeding so much of that fear of future energy. What is the most likely mindful outcome of doing that? The Six of Wands, victory and triumph after a challenge, after a struggle. So Aries, let some of this go. Go take a walk, a bubble bath, get a massage, open a bottle of wine, whatever it is you do. Feel confident knowing that you've done everything that you can for the time being. And don't just wait in fear, anxiety, and worry. Keep doing what's in front of you to do. Keep putting one foot in front of the other, even if sometimes you're still in doubt. Walking in faith doesn't necessarily mean that we feel that faith, but it means that we keep walking in it anyway. So please do that. And take care of yourself maybe a little bit better over the next couple of weeks. Maybe do some things that may feel restorative and recharging for you, whatever that might be. So Aries, that pretty much wraps up your April 2018 mid-month readings. I hope that you have found it helpful in some way, because that's why we do these. Forewarned is forearmed, right? Again, if any of you are interested in a more personal one-on-one reading just for you, please feel free to contact me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo for fast answers to really quick, easy, or simple questions. You can find all of that information and contact details by looking at the description bar of all the videos I post, or going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on the little About button. So I will see you all again, Aries, in a couple of weeks for the May 2018 general readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life, and relax a little bit. Take care, Aries. Hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.